So welcome again to our course. It's Science, Technology, and Environmental Studies. So today we will be discussing a very important topic, which is the land ecosystem, sustainable development, and the well-being. Okay, so today we will discuss one of the most valuable natural resources in our country, which is the forest ecosystem. Okay, so at first glance, forest may simply appear to be a collection of trees. However, forests are much more than that. So they are living systems that regulate our climate, provide clean waters, support biodiversity, and even contribute to our national security. Okay, so as a future officer of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, your responsibility extends beyond defending our territorial integrity, but you will also um, become leaders who must understand how environmental degradation affects disaster response, military operation, food security, water security, and ultimately our national security. Okay, so many military operations, as you all know, takes place in forested areas. So understanding how forest functions will help you appreciate why protecting them is not merely an environmental concern, but also a strategic concern. So, um, taken for example, if a watershed supply to a military camp becomes degraded, so what do you think will happen to the camp's water supply? Okay, okay, so that's a good answer, but we will be discussing or we will be tackling more on how we can address this kind of problems. Okay, so class, I want you to listen carefully because by the end of this discussion, we will be having our lessons exam. So our individual lessons exam will be more on a core and critical thinking. So do not just only listen, but also understand our discussion for today. Okay, so by the end of our discussion, um, you should be able to describe the land ecosystem, which is the forest, and then you should be able to apply the concept to well-being and sustainability. Okay, so let's begin our lesson for today with these two important concepts. So we have here the geosphere and the lithosphere. Now, what do you mean when you say geosphere? So when we say geosphere, it refers to all the solid parts of the earth. So taken for example, the topsoil, the landforms, the minerals, the stones, the valleys, um, or the solid and the molten rocks. Now, within the geosphere is the system we call the lithosphere. Now, lithosphere simply refers to the Earth's crust or the rigid outer layer where plants grow and where humans build communities. So think of the lithosphere as the foundation of a building. So without the without a strong foundation, the building collapses. So similarly, the health of the ecosystem depend on a healthy land. Now, did you know that the Philippine archipelago was formed by volcanic activity along the specific ring of fire? This makes our country one of the most geologically active places on Earth. Now, you might be thinking, Mom, how can we relate that to our topic for today? Now, take it for example, Mount Mayon. So, Mount Mayon exists because of geological processes. And this filter volcanic soil around Mount Mayon supports the agriculture because of the lithosphere. Okay, so do you now understand? Okay, very good. To understand more about land ecosystem, let us discuss about the system called biome. So it says here that biome is a very large or collection of ecosystem with similar climax communities and abiotic factor. And it is also a major life zone. Now, think of it as a collection of ecosystem sharing similar environmental condition. So taken for example, when we say all deserts on Earth, it makes up the desert biome. So when we say tropical rainforest, it means that it belongs to the tropical rainforest biome. So in simple analogy, if an ecosystem, in simple analogy, an ecosystem is like a one barangay, and then a biome is an entire province containing many barangays. Okay, so question, what biome does the Philippines belong to? Anyone from the class? Okay, that's correct. So, Philippines belongs to the tropical rainforest biome. So, how many do you think are the biomes in totality? Any guess? Okay, so as you can see here in our presentation, we have how many? We have 8 biomes. Okay, so first is we have the tundra and the ice, taiga, the temperate deciduous forest, the scrub forest, the grassland, the desert, the tropical rainforest, and the temperate rainforest. And again, the Philippines belongs to the, yes, tropical rainforest. Okay, that's good. As you can see here in our slide, shown here are the main biomes of the world relative to temperature and the amount of water. So the temperature and the amount of water or the precipitation are the main determinants of where the biomes belong. So taken for example is the tundra. So tundra soil has a layer of ice or the permafrost. Now, taiga naman are the coniferous or the evergreen forest. So temperate forests are those areas that have 4 seasons. So what are the 4 seasons again? We have the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. And lastly is the tropical rainforest. So the tropical rainforest are the areas with wet and dry seasons. Okay. Since the Philippines belongs to the tropical rainforest biome, we will be focusing more on this biome. So as you know, many military operations in the Philippines occur within a tropical rainforest. So the success in the jungle operation depends on understanding a tropical rainforest. So understanding its vegetation, the weather, the terrain, and all the available natural resources. Okay, so tropical rainforest, they receive a abundant rainfall all throughout the year. So not only rainfall but also warm temperatures and plenty of sunlight. Now because of this condition, it allows plants to grow continuously and because of this, it supports an enormous variety of wildlife. Now, tropical rainforests are considered the most biologically diverse and productive terrestrial ecosystem. So they are home to more than half of the Earth's known life form. So when we say biodiversity, we simply refers to the variety of life. So that includes plants, animals, fungi, microorganisms, and etc. So take it for example, if you spend like an hour in a tropical rainforest, you might observe different organisms or different species. So take it for example, you might observe trees, you might observe orchids, mosses, butterflies, snakes, monkeys, fungi, and etc. So all living or different kind of wildlife or variety of life together. So that's an example of a tropical rainforest. Now, question is, why do you think tropical rainforests have higher biodiversity than deserts? Anyone from the class? More sunlight. What else? Continuous rainfall. What else? Stable climate. Okay, so ano pa? Abundant food. Okay, that's great. So at least now we know that you are having the gist of what we are discussing for today. So all of the answers are correct, and that's just some of the factors of which is why tropical rainforests have higher biodiversity than deserts. So our country has several major forest types. So as you can see here, we have here the mangrove forest, the beech forest, the Molave, the dipterocarp forest, the pine forest, and lastly is the mossy forest. Okay, so each of these forests is developed because of the differences in climate, elevation, soil type, and the rainfall. So think of them as a specialized ecosystem. So if you look at it in a military context, so just like the armed forces have different specialized mission, so that's also how the Philippine forest work. So they have different forests perform specialized ecological functions. So you can look at it in that manner. Okay. Okay. So as we have a shortened period of time, I will be giving you notes, handouts, and recorded videos for the sustainable development and the well-being related to our forests. So do you have any question? None? Okay, that's good. Okay, so you will be taking home your lesson exam for today. So I will be sending the question to your respective Google Classroom, and you check so you could answer, and you also read the instruction on how you should answer your lesson exam. Okay, so that ends our lesson for today. I hope you understand our lesson, and I hope you have the gist on how environment relates to military context. So that's all for today. Thank you.